Erin is from the States and Jed is from Scotland. Together, they're a transatlantic duo called the Slow Travel Girls. In September last year, they set off on their first long-distance journey, walking from Cardiff to London, including following the Thames from its source. Jed and Erin will share reflections on what they encountered during their 22-day adventure of nearly 300 miles, which they used to raise funds and awareness for Hope and Homes for Children. Please welcome Jed and Erin.
So, my mom always said, life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. Okay, so you all didn't know, she didn't actually say that, but as an American, I thought I'd start out with a line from Forrest Gump. After all, walking from Cardiff to London with a Glaswegian I met on a boat in Miami was never something I expected to do. Some of my most vivid childhood memories involve movement, competition, and strength. At university, sports tapered off, but I still walked and biked everywhere. Then in January 2012, I was out walking when my feet started to hurt. I thought I'd just walked too far, but it wasn't a fluke. Over time, my ankles swelled. My joints became sore. An ache developed inside of my muscles. Everything felt painful, and occasionally I could barely stand. I was scared and confused, and after a year of tests, I was told I had a chronic pain condition called fibromyalgia, and it would be with me for the rest of my life. 2 years after my diagnosis, I found myself on a sailboat in Miami and met Geraldine. That's an entirely different story, but on that boat, we set a goal to set ourselves on an adventure. A few months later, we had a plan to walk from Cardiff to the source of the Thames, and then along the Thames path into London. This plan was a little bit crazy, at least for us, but that's also exactly why I wanted to do it. Fibromyalgia had the potential to control everything I did, from previously simple things like climbing a flight of stairs, to how I handled my days, my months, and my years. Instead, despite the pain, I wanted to feel strong again. So I pushed back. We were going to go for a walk, a really long one. I had no idea what to expect when we set off. We don't exactly have a culture of rambling in the US. What would this be like? Would my body hold up? Most importantly, would we be chased by cows? As in any good adventure, the answers came in the doing. Each day of the walk was totally full of anticipation. Who would we meet? What would it look like just around the bend? Time literally slowed down because we absorbed so much. And my body, when the pain was overwhelming, we'd simply stop and rest, and then put one foot in front of the other again. When I think of the word epic, walking's not exactly the first thing that comes to mind, but it changes a bit when I think of the word crawling and the effort that comes with learning how to walk. For those of us who have the privilege to voluntarily walk over long distances, it's truly beautiful. Unlike the view from a car window, walking is truly tangible. It feels like pebbles on sore feet, soft grass and morning dew. It smells of rain and of farmland and of cities. It sounds like songbirds in the morning and narrow boats parting the Thames. For anyone in this room who feels too old, too tired, too out of shape, or in too much pain to move forward, I've been there, and I definitely feel you. But remember, life is like a box of chocolates. You don't get to taste anything unless you open it.
To walk from Cardiff to London. Going in a straight line was too short. So we added Gloucester and we followed the source of the Thames. You have any idea how windy the Thames is? We had a 260-mile plan and we ended up walking nearly 300 miles. We often got lost, but usually because we were blethering too much, rather than the signs being bad. But there was one sign in Sonning that sent us off on a 3-mile detour. Trouble was, we got back, and George Clooney put this sign up, rather than coming out to see us. How cheeky. I went out to Ukraine in 2008, and I saw the work of Hope and Homes for Children. Yes, it was heartbreaking at times, the video earlier, but there was lots of positives too. Nadia grew up in an institution, struggled later to bring up her own children, but with Hope and Home's support, the family were reunited and grew up in this home. This man, my dad, had me believe that I had a bionic heart. Whenever I was in intensive care, he would sneak me in chocolate. It would melt all over the machines and the tubes. I loved it. I don't think he was so popular with the nurses, though, because they thought my insides had exploded. I reassured Erin we had no poisonous spiders, no poisonous snakes or bears, even scary landowners to worry about. But I didn't know to warn her about 2 wild horses that were going to chase us and having to dodge the lorries onto the middle of a motorway roundabout. You get any idea how hard it is to get off those roundabouts in one piece? People were so good, so kind, especially strangers. We were offered lifts in boats and cars. We were redirected, even when we didn't know we were lost. We were given donations and we were kidnapped. That's Anna's word. Taken in by strangers for the night. Thanks to all of our kind strangers that are here tonight. Neither of us had wild camped to the UK before. We did it 6 times in the end. On the first night, Erin insisted that our tent searched because I was appointed wild animal chaser. By the 3rd night, she couldn't pitch far enough away. She chose the animals over my snoring. We adopted 2 slow travel girls and walked with Margaret and Lottie for a morning. It was only after lunch and swapping surnames in the afternoon that we discovered that Lottie is actually an old school friend of my nephew. She's in Berkshire. I'm in Glasgow. 8 days later, who did we meet again? Just randomly? It is really a small world. Any adventure that you go on, one of the big things is you need to think what to take, and especially if you're carrying it. Really, I assure you, that did me 3 weeks. You don't need to take much. But we were also aware of our privilege of the choice. The refugees that were fleeing war at the time didn't have that choice. I've always been a slow travel girl. Whenever I go cycling, I'm in Team Tortoise. I can still remember how I felt whenever I had my best ever school race result. I was nearly second last. You don't have to be the best. You don't have to be the fastest. But it feels good to get to your finish line.
All right,